Hi, I'm Arlene McIntyre, Creative Director at Ventura Design, and you're listening to Shut the Front Door, a light-hearted podcast that will bring you through the front door and into the homes of influential and interesting people. Home for me is one of the most important things in my life. My career has fortunately given me the opportunity to work closely with people and to help them create a home they will cherish forever. Today we are joined by entrepreneur and mother of two, Louise Stokes. Louise is the owner of the fabulous boutique jewellery store Loulerie, which opened up in the heart of Dublin almost 13 years ago. Since then, Louise has built a successful business that has grown immensely. The name Loulerie is now synonymous with jewellery across Ireland and beyond. Louise made the decision to bring her company online in the early days, and 5 years ago she got into the design side of the business herself and now offers her own timeless collections both online and in-store. We are delighted that Louise could take the time today to chat with us about her career in the specialised area of jewellery and design and the lessons she has learned along the way. Welcome, Louise, to Shut the Front Door. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me. This is the most exciting thing that's happened this week. When you asked me to do it, I was like, yes, I have something to do. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I booked it in and saved it on the calendar and put my new lounge pants on and everything. I didn't wash my hair though. I'm going to confess.
Oh my God. How are we ever going to go back to dressing for work? I mean, I'm just so used to home loungy comfy wear.
Yeah, no, I know it's a whole strange time, but no, thank you for having me. And also, we love what you do as well, and your eye and aesthetic, and the projects that you work on are definitely, similar style to that I would have myself. So those things offer me some sort of creative escape at this time.
Great. Well, I mean, thank you for that. But I think it's just a very challenging time for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, your jewelry store, I mean, I can't even tell you how often I would pop in or I would be gazing through the window and looking at your beautiful displays. You merchandise your jewelry beautifully as well.
Thank
So,
you.
And you really are located in the heart of Dublin.
Yeah,
That's a
I am very
beautiful
lucky.
hub around there.
Yeah, I know. That was a fluke. So yeah, I know. I'm very lucky with that location.
Tell me how you actually got that unit.
Yeah, well, if my brother-in-law saw it. It was a barber's, and basically I was living in New York and I was planning on coming home. But when you're in your 20s, of course, I just rushed ahead and built the business and hadn't signed the lease or anything. I was like, oh, sure, how long can that take? Oh my God. And then I'd moved home. So yeah, it was a total fluke. I didn't look at anywhere else actually. Oh no, sorry, I did. I looked at a couple around on South William Street, I think, but I just really liked it. It was really small. It was disgusting. There was bags of hair downstairs from the barbers. Yeah, and I had no budget. So I remember I was doing some of the jobs myself. I was in there in the summer. So yeah, it was very, I don't know. I just walked down the street and you just get that. I just liked it. And it has one of the oldest storefronts. And actually there is a lady who lives on my street, and her parents, she grew up it was a kids shop. So she grew up there, and it has a very old cornicing, and I just really liked that. And it's absolutely tiny though, really, really small.
I know, but it's so cute, and the location is just amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you were very lucky you landed on your feet there. And of course, that whole little area, the Westbury, the cafes, it's just perfect, really. And so do you think the location of your business was very important?
I would say it was massively important. Obviously at the time, I only had 6 months pre-recession, but I mean, I always knew I wanted it to be town because I had worked for Louise Kennedy in college, and she was in Marion Square, and then I worked in Brown Thomas. So I always worked in luxury retail part-time during college. So I only ever really knew town. And I just got that, but at that time, that was years ago, 20 years ago, the buzz, that's what I was addicted to. So it was always going to be town for me, but I have never honestly felt so fortunate. Even when we do pop-ups or we're away somewhere else and I come back and like Paddy from the Taylors is there and Paul Sheeran, and I see Dylan Bradshaw and we're like, hey, how are you? The Westbury, I mean, I honestly, it feels like my second home. Like some days people are like, do you live there? They just, it's amazing. They've been so good to me, and it's lovely to do partnerships. And the boutiques around me, like Paula Rowan and Parfumaria and A Passion Out of Flowers, they're all specialists at what they do. So it does feel like a little neighborhood. And I'm very, very grateful for that.
And have you gotten any very interesting celebs into your jewelry store? I can't even imagine being next to
Yeah,
the
do you know
website.
the one that I wasn't there for? I think my first day off really would have been 18 months, 2 years. And Beyonce came and had her security stand outside. And I wasn't there. I had to watch it back on the security camera. I couldn't believe it. So, yeah, and she
Oh,
was, yeah, she bought like, I don't know, like 15, 20 things. Because I remember Alexis Batar
wow.
himself at the time was like, how did Beyonce get these earrings? We didn't give them to her. And they were like, what? They came from a boutique in Dublin? I was like, yep, they did. So, no, she was super nice and bought loads of gifts and a couple of other things. So, yeah, that was pretty amazing. But I missed
Oh, bummer. I
it.
actually heard I heard about that she was they opened up the Westbury Mall and closed it off for her.
Yeah, yeah,
Is that
but
correct? Am I correct?
I'm not sure they did, but she definitely had an unbelievable secure. I mean, she doesn't just like stroll around, but
Yeah.
she was. I watched it. She was extremely sweet, really unassuming. Didn't say, and then just they wrapped up all her gifts and off she went. So yeah, we've been really. I mean, over the years, I mean, we've been extremely, extremely lucky. And again, I suppose that's interesting. I never thought about that before, but what you just said. I think the location of where we are, because people will be staying in the Westbury, filming would be going on, awards are going on. So people do walk past our door. So
Yeah, I mean, I always see blacked out cars or
yeah,
limousines or
yeah,
people
I
talking
know.
to their sleeves around the
I,
Westbury.
yeah,
So yeah, it kind of is a hub for that. But tell me something. You mentioned luxury retail
yeah,
training.
yeah.
Did you actually get training or did you kind of just learn it as you went along?
Well, I think I worked for Louise Kennedy pretty much for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
I mean, it wasn't a training program, but I think that's the best training I ever got in luxury
sure, sure.
retailing. Yeah,
Mhm.
because I was really close with her in terms of I was in her concession and then I worked in Marion Square, which her apartment is above. So that one-on-one vision of how a business is run from the ground up was absolutely invaluable to me. So, yeah, I didn't study fashion. I actually studied sociology and philosophy in Trinity because I was so in love with Trinity. I'm such a creative. I just thought it was pretty. So that's why I wanted to go there. But yeah, so all of my formal training would be I did sales training in a manufacturing and fine jewelry in New York. That's where that came in. But yeah, I mean, all my jobs, I think very much, I suppose, as an entrepreneur, there is no masters, I don't think, in how you build a brand and survive a recession. So every single exposure I got to anybody for whatever length of time, I soaked it up and I took note.
Yeah, good job. I have a friend that's working in Selfridges and she's working with Fendi.
Oh,
And
wow.
apparently, yeah, and they do training, like actual, they teach you the whole kind of process and how
Mm,
when you're selling a product at a certain level or at a certain price point.
yeah.
That's a whole different kind of ball game. It's not something really. I don't think you can learn that unless you really know about the brand. In the case of Louise Kennedy, you were so fortunate to work for her, and she's such a lovely lady.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, there was definitely training in terms of, how you wrap a package, how you speak to customers. It's something I suppose we have employed now. We have a very clear training program as to how you train customers, how you speak to them, how knowledge on the products. I think luxury brands are very good at that. I mean, I know for myself when I'm buying something, if the person doesn't have a passion for something, I can tell. So I think
Mhm.
I suppose we're not a global luxury brand. I mean, we pitch ourselves and we would love to be, but I suppose for us, what we try and do is really tailor it and make it really, really personal. So of course we have training now in the store, and that's what I experienced. But we really, really tailor it to the customer. It's not a one size fits all kind of spiel that everybody gets. It's
Mhm.
more, I suppose, about the foundation of who we are, what we're about, and what we want the customer to feel about us. I suppose that's the core of our business now.
Yes, and also your beautiful packaging, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just the entire experience, really, isn't it? It's from start to finish, from the moment you open the door to
Yeah.
even how you feel when you're leaving the boutique or store, whatever it might be. It's that overall experience. I think they're calling it a marketing experience now.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because obviously in the situation that we're in now, I don't have the store. So it is all online. So we've almost flipped our business, which is, I'm very, very, very fortunate. And a lot of people have helped me. I've had some amazing people work for Loulerie over the years who have all contributed to building that. especially on like the packaging or online and social and the digital. And it is very interesting because I suppose what we're all learning now is that we are still offering that same service. So at the moment, Mary, who is our number one salesperson, she is now on email Monday to Friday. So videos, pictures. Mary loves everything bridal. She's brilliant about styling. So we are offering that kind of service, even though it's online and it's digital. So it is interesting to see, and it's my number one thing. I'm noticing even with because I'm physically packing, because I moved it all really well. All of us are working remotely, but I'm actually physically packing. And if I recognize a name, or I'm like, oh, I haven't seen Mary in a while, I will write the card and write her name. And like some people have come back and said, I can't believe you did that. But I mean, I'm so grateful for people to have supported us and to keep doing that. And I really do believe it's how you can make someone feel. And it's a very small thing. It's all about the language you use and how you communicate and how you make them feel valued.
That's so true. It's how you make them feel.
Yeah.
100%, and that they're being looked after, and everyone is important that walks through your door, and
100%.
yeah, and really trying to understand what it is they're looking for and tapping into them, and it's a really important process.
Yeah, and it's important as well. Another thing I learned, I suppose, over the years is it's okay that we don't have what they're looking for. We're not you can't be everything to everybody. You won't. Well, it was one thing I very much learned. We actually got more and more niche over the years, because I realized, oh, okay, it is about being specialized. So I think that's a very freeing feeling. Of course, you're not going to get retail right all the time. Of course, it has its own challenges, just like online does. Orders get misshipped, or things break or whatever. But it's how you handle them. I think is testament to the brand and testament to longevity, I suppose. This was never going to be like an overnight thing for me.
Yes. Oh, well, look, you've done an incredible job up to now, and
I'm
really glad to hear you're doing really well and working remotely, and everything is working out for you. That's all positive. It's
Yeah, I
great.
mean, I'm not. I mean, I don't want to dress it up. I've had sleepless nights, and obviously, when I first heard about it, I was like, oh my god, because it's massively, massively stressful. I mean, retail, or having a brand, there's so much cost, and we are on the more luxury end. So like the diamond lines, there's a lot of money sitting in that kind of stock. So there are financial pressures, and also with staff, whatever. We happen to just have a really small team at this current point in time, so we were able to flip everybody working remotely. But I don't want people out there thinking, oh God, it's so easy. It's really, really not. And it has taken over my life. And I am probably working 7 days a week, all day, every day, because the shipping is coming from here. But to be honest, I probably did that anyway. It's just very different for us. So I just don't want people to think, oh God, it's a walk in the park. It's not. But I cannot, just as a person, I can't focus on the negative. I'd go crazy. I have to focus on the positive. And, we set up 6 months before a recession. I've had snowstorms. I've had, like 2 years ago, they repaved the street. They dug up, and just before Christmas, my customers had to walk over a piece of yellow plastic because there was wet cement. So I suppose at the point in the age I'm at now, I'm like, okay, COVID-19's here. Okay, what are we going to do?
Yeah, bring it on. Look at
bring it on. I'm here. Yeah.
Try and just immediately jump towards the solution rather than focusing on the problem, because that's just not going to get anybody anywhere.
No.
You just got to be flexible and think quickly and think outside the box and all those things.
Absolutely.
So I would love to learn a little bit more about you. Really start sharing some memories, if you may, with me about what it was like for you growing up and what your teenage bedroom looked like.
Oh my God. Well, that's so funny, Book, that you mentioned that, because a lot of my design projects are on hold, which caused me major anxiety, because I like everything to be planned, and we set out the year and we have our SWOTs and, all of that kind of stuff. And then it's all paused, and I'm like trying to teach myself I cannot control the situation. So I suppose I've been thinking an awful lot about, there's a lot of stars and there's a lot of moons still in my collection. And I started to think back. When I was a teenager, my parents had this, it was like a bungalow, and then there was an upstairs. So I had a bedroom and we had an office. So I always laugh because my parents they built on their gardens. So they have a similar house shape. It's so hot. It was so hot in my bedroom because it was at the top of the house and had a skylight. I'm always laughing with my mom going, oh my God, it's the hottest house ever. But it was, it had these pine, I think we had wooden floors, and I had this navy duvet set that had gold stars and moons all over it, and I had matching pajamas, and I was absolutely
Wow.
I was absolutely obsessed. I think there was a shop in Stephen's Green that it was all around that time of like moons and stars
Yeah.
and mood rings, and then there was tacky awful posters all over my room, and it was so funny because I'm such a neat freak now. I was very messy.
That's hard to believe.
It was, my mom said she couldn't come upstairs, especially when I'd be coming home from New York and like flying back. The suitcase would just never be properly emptied or repacked. So she stopped coming upstairs because she just couldn't handle looking at it.
So are you one of those people now when you come home from the airport that you immediately start unpacking and doing your laundry, or do you leave it just there and you'll deal with it at the weekend or when you have time?
I immediately do it. Is that really bad?
This came up with a friend of mine over dinner before the lockdown, obviously, and there was a post that was circulating. It was really funny about people that unpack when they come back from their holidays or potential serial killers.
Yeah, I mean, I know it drives my husband and my kids crazy. But you know what? Who else is going to do it? And it's still going to be there in like 2 or 3 days.
I know.
I think, you know what? The one interesting thing, I think you'll find this, because I lived in New York, in
Hmm.
my apartments were so, so small, Irene, that I didn't have the space to live amongst mess. So I actually think in my 20s, when I moved to New York, I was like, oh, well, my living space is just going to be crowded over by mess. So I think that's what kind of started me kind
Yeah.
of tidying up after myself.
Yeah. Got you organized and
Yeah,
snapped you kind of out of that
like
whole.
you didn't have a wardrobe. I mean, one of the kind of studio, which I always laugh, studio, that's a loose term, but tiny cell of a room. And, you didn't have any space. So yeah, it does make me sound a bit crazy. I don't like admitting that to people, but I also like when I go to a hotel or if I'm going away, I also unpack on the first like
I
afternoon
do
as well.
too. I do too. So listen, here's your
Okay.
sister. I know.
But I like to feel like there's a little bit of order and then I don't
Yeah.
have to stress the rest of the time.
Yeah. And wrinkles and all that. You're good.
Yeah.
You're in, you're
Yeah.
packed. Then you
Well,
can
see, I
totally
hate
start relaxing.
ironing, so that might be it. I'm
Me
absolutely
too.
rubbish. I don't iron in my house, so maybe
Yeah.
that's the
I
issue.
hear you. So let me ask you about New York. So you
Yeah.
lived in New York, and I love that you use an expression that you
Oh,
often mention about your sliding door moment in New York. Can you
yeah.
tell me more about that?
Yeah, I suppose it's interesting because I mean, I just turned 40 just before COVID, 2 days, so everything was on hold.
Oh,
But
no.
I've become a little bit more reflective, I think. As I mentioned, I went to college, but fashion was always my number one. That's what I wanted to do. I was so passionate about it. I was always into clothes and designers and art. And, I suppose art was one thing I wanted to maybe do in college. Anyway, so that was very much part of me. And I was hell bent when I moved to New York that it was going to be a fashion company. And I interviewed, but people now know, I mean, it's so hard to get a footing in New York in that industry because there's
Mhm.
just so many people before you and they've been doing internships and, foots in the door, whatever. So anyway, I went back for a second summer and I was my 90th day. And I had just lost out actually. It was a company called Scoop. I don't know
Okay.
if they're still around, but they had a lot of boutique stores. Anyway, I got down to like the third interview and I didn't get it. And I was absolutely devastated. And then I got an internship with with a fine jewelry company, not fashion. And I was so disappointed. I remember saying to my mom, "Oh my God, I can't believe this. Ugh, it's not fashion." And, you know, um, it's just interesting because the way when you're very young and you're so fixated on this one thing, it can
Yes.
almost close you off to like everything else. So now that I look back, I don't believe that was my path. That was my sliding doors. So I just happened to go to this fine jewelry and that set me on a whole path. And then I think what happened was I got the training in fine jewelry, but I never lost the fashion aspect. So that provided the basis for Loulerie because we don't do jewelry just in isolation or in, I suppose, in a more classic way. We're very much about how it looks and how your sweater is and, that kind of thing. So weirdly, the sliding doors movement, even though I went one way, I eventually sort of came back.
Yes. Yeah. Gotcha.
But I was devastated, like for about 6 months. It's a
Yeah.
cruel, cruel world, me sitting here working in a fine jewelry company.
I know, but it is amazing, Louise. Like
Yeah.
you've really turned this into something quite special. It's very unique.
Well, thank you. Well, I suppose New York had the biggest influence on the States is just amazing. I know it's California. Is that where you're from?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I suppose, New York is just, I got to travel a lot. Actually, we have a beautiful designer they're called Goriana and she's based in LA. But the living in America at 22 had a massive impact on me. I suppose you can be unique there. There's so many people applauded for being special. Like I remember walking down the East Village and finding like an optician's that also sold like specialist chocolates, and it's a thing that appeals to me. It's a thing that I suppose I always, when I'm feeling a bit battered around, as you do get in business, and I go to Paris and I see these wonderful tiny boutiques, tinier than mine, doing things the most exquisite way in their windows and the whole thing. So I suppose that unique and that specialist thing was something I was absorbing every day walking, seeing these places in New York.
And it's like their passion. Like I would often,
it's infectious.
Spend a lot of time with work as well in Italy.
Oh wow, yeah.
Rome. I would just roam and roam the streets like endlessly on my own. And I like that. I would find beautiful little boutiques or shoe cobblers or just beautiful little jewelry stores. I mean, you know all about it. It's fantastic. Right down to the packaging. And like if you even buy something like a very small bracelet, it's the detail that they put into the packaging and the wrapping and the whole thing. It's just, you don't even want to throw the bag away.
No, and it's a memory. That's, I think, the other thing about jewelry. I remember getting this bracelet, an enamel kind of, it was like a floral print. It was purple bangle, and I think I had a ring. And my parents had a burglary anyway. It went. My mom was like, "Oh, what was in that box?" And I was like, "Oh, is that there?" And it was gone. And I just remember it actually came from Switzerland. And again, you know, like they came almost wrapped like unbelievable. Like, you know, there was layers upon layers, and it wasn't about the packaging. It was just very, very special. And I think, you know, that's a thing about, I suppose, about jewelry and interiors. When you are traveling, you find a place in Italy and you walk in, you'll remember everything about it. You'll remember the whole thing. I mean, I love that about interiors as well. And I think that's an interesting thing as well, I suppose, in New York, and I find it in Paris. Every single thing that goes into the store, they think about, you know, every element.
Exactly, like the music that's playing, the scent, the ambience, everything. It all hits you, and and some people just pull that all together so beautifully and perfectly, and you walk out and you're like, wow,
I know,
that's on the list. That's on the list. To be like. So tell me then, what age were you when you came back to Dublin from New York?
27. So I moved home in April. I got married moved home in April, opened Loulerie in August, got married in November, and then the recession hit really badly, like January, February. So it was it was an interesting time. So when I moved home, it was definitely, and I've helped a couple of my friends or people I know through this. It was a real emotional low after the first month of being home, because, you know, it was a massive, scary decision. Like my boss, like basically offered for me to commute back and forth. They thought I was crazy. Here I was again. It was one of those sliding doors moments. I insisted to myself, oh, I have to make executive. I want to be VP. And that was going to be where I was. And then I got to 27, honestly, having, as you know, in the States, the work ethic, it's amazing, but it's crazy. So, you know, like I used to wake up and have this pulse in my eye and be like, that's not maybe amazing. So,
no.
And I used
adrenaline. It's not good.
It's crazy. And I had like a BlackBerry and I used to sleep with it. And, you know, I suppose I got to that point, and I was very, very lucky to get to the point I was in the career. And I, you know, did make exec, and I got to travel. All of the East Coast was my accounts, and I traveled on my own. And I mean, It was phenomenal, but I didn't have the passion for the product. It just wasn't there. So I think when I moved home, that was a journey, even making that decision. Like I remember the dinner I had with the two of my best Irish girlfriends, and, you know, saying it to them and then moving home. It was a very emotionally turbulent time, because then when you move home, your friends and your family and everyone's not in the same place as when you left. So it was definitely a lot of adjustment.
I can't even imagine. I mean, you were so young when you think about it, really. Like,
it was a bit ridiculous. I know. I just remember moving home, and all my friends had like 25 apartments and 75 cars, and I'd like given up everything in America to open a shop, and I was just like, okay, what am I doing with my life? So I watched Big Brother, and I remember the weather was amazing, and I had all my stock bought, but I didn't have the shop lease yet signed. Just something you'd do when you're 27, and But then I have to say, I really, really, I'm a big home bird in terms of I've had the same for, I've two of my friends I've known since I was 6. So I loved plugging back into that.
That's so great.
I try and help people that because I know what I got and I know I helped and I believe in that cycle and I believe in women empowering women. And
Definitely.
even now, my Instagram, every day I'm conscious: is there another business I can promote? Is there someone else I can help? Who else can I? Is there someone local? That's kind of the thinking, I suppose. Even with my team, I never want someone to start with Loulerie and leave not with a improved skill set. That's how I look at it.
Wow, that's fantastic. And tell me a little bit about your own personal style, even at home, interiors wise.
Well, this is so funny. I like love. So this is where I'm not good. I like obsessed over your website. Loved the Millie McIntosh nursing room. Like, oh my god, her nursery was just amazing. I love that kind of minimal pared back style. But I'm actually not great. It really stresses me out. Interiors, putting it together. So
Mm.
I'm actually not very good at that. But I know what I like. So my husband, his mom is Danish. So we lived in New York together. So we have very similar style, which is great. So very minimal. I suppose it would be very Scandinavian. In New York, we had like white floors in our apartment, and like
Yes.
I love like raw materials. We had a slate kitchen. I remember there's a nightmare to clean though. So my house is basically a townhouse, but it was a recession and you move home and then the bottom falls out of the market. And then my husband's business went and I had a new baby and all that stuff was happening. So we've adapted our home. Now we have 2 children, very minimal. I love splashes of color. I love muted tones. A lot of gray, a lot of similar colors to you use. Actually, one of your projects you did is Ballymena, I think, or something.
Yes.
I adore that. Love grays. Love really classic colors, and then I love to have fun. So I love a little hint of Missoni in the bathroom,
Yeah.
or like a fun rug, or I don't like clutter. I actually declutter like all the time. I don't have like millions of teacups. I'm not that kind of person. Now that I've been spending so much more time with my kids, is I'm like, you know what? This is their home too. And
So true.
like I came down the other day and they'd made a den with the 2 Missoni rugs, throws, and they propped them up on all, like they always manage to find the nicest things I have, and we don't have like millions of them. And I began to freak out and I was like, oh, whatever, it's just a throw. So
Mm.
I like nice things. I went to Marrakesh actually for my friend Aurora's 40th, and I really loved that. Now I didn't have as much time, but I bought some beautiful. I love candles, so I bought some beautiful little handmade little holders, and they remind me of being there. So if I was to ever go back, I loved the glassware of Marrakesh. I
Mhm.
thought that was a really. It was just very new, very different for me because I'm very minimalist.
Maybe you can start introducing little things like that into your jewelry collection.
Yeah.
I actually visited a beautiful jewelry store in Venice,
Oh
and
wow.
she just had very small pieces like that that she kind of filtered in through
Yeah.
the jewelry, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, no, and one of the brands that we carry, Zoe and Morgan, they are very influenced by Marrakesh and their trips. They're 2 sisters and a brother, and I love seeing that through the jewelry or through the lookbooks and the shoots. So yeah, I suppose it's things like that that keep me happy that I love.
And have your kids changed the way you live personally?
Um, have they changed the way? Yeah, I suppose definitely I have had a major turnaround in the last month in lockdown,
Yeah.
because I've begun to realize like my daughter will be 10 and Sebastian will be 7. They both have birthdays in June. And I've been, again, it's a sliding doors thing. When you're so on a path, it's
Mm.
only this that I'm stopped going, he will never be 6 again. He will never be 7 again. He will
Yeah.
never want a Lego man cake. So all of the stuff that's happening now, I'm realizing is precious and is very, very short lived. So I'm definitely trying to appreciate the time that I have and realize that they're all very short phases with the kids.
Yeah, that's true. You're not the first person that has said that to me, actually.
Yeah,
That
no,
it
I'm
is
not lying. Yeah.
it's
I'm
a
going out
mixed
of my
bag.
mind, like, as well. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
I don't
but
want to paint that picture, but
it's kind of stopped us all in our tracks, and
yeah,
you're just like, I mean, to be honest, I could really get used to this. I'm quite liking working from home. I'm super productive. It hasn't changed my diary in any way other than that I'm not able to kind of move around in the car, but I'm getting things done, and
yeah.
the virtual way of myself, the way we're working, doing our virtual designing work hasn't changed, and it's different. I've had to adapt. You've had to kind of figure out, finding spaces in your own home and whereby you can be quiet and close yourself away. That's been difficult, but other than that, you can get things done.
Yeah, and that's one thing. We actually did a work from home email, just communication to our customers and the thanks for their loyalty. And that was one thing that I realized, I'm really, really going to think about when I schedule a meeting or when I go to a meeting, the hour there, the hour back, what it's actually about, because I mean, at the moment I am shipping. I'm effectively, that's my job, but that's what's keeping our business going. So I'm not going to lie, I miss quiet. I need pure quiet when I'm designing. I put classical music on, or I might go to the library, or I might sit by the sea. Like, I very much need my mind to be quiet. I think it's because my mind races a lot. So I am struggling with that. But I have to say, when a lot of your choice is eliminated, I'm a lot more focused. I'm like, why am I doing these silly meetings? Or am I just responding to someone who wants me to do
100%.
something?
Yes.
And I'm now going, what really came of that meeting? When you break it all down, what do you want to be doing? And that's what's going through my head a lot right now.
Yeah. Big life review. It's like,
Yeah,
do I really need to do this next month? No.
Yeah.
Can I get around it through a phone call? Yeah. Can I do a Zoom? Of course. So it's interesting.
Yeah,
It
is. Yeah.
Traffic anymore. I definitely have more time to have lovely walks in the park with my baby.
Yeah. How old is your baby?
She's 8 months.
Oh gosh, tiny.
She is
Oh,
tiny.
it's such precious little time this time.
It is. No, it has been. It's been a definite mixed blessing, definitely. And I'm seeing more of her and I'm loving it, and it's all good. But you can work it out. It's not like you said at the very beginning of our podcast, it's obviously not an ideal situation.
No.
But it's worked itself out, and I don't think if I could ever really go back to the way it was.
No, I
Before.
think I think people are definitely having a life review.
How do you relax, by the way, in the evening?
Well, I've been going for like long walks. Again, the sea is a big thing for me. It's part of the inspiration. I use it for most of my own designs. I do very minimalist, fine jewellery designs. Just find when I'm standing by the sea, I count my blessings every single day. It was I don't know, it makes me feel claustrophobic when I'm not near the sea. And I just walk down and I walk around. I think I live pretty similar to you. I mean, I'm around Blackrock and Monkstown and going to walk by the sea and Avoca Park. I'm just so lucky. And I take that time for myself. I'm an only child. So my family have said, Mom wants all this time on her own. And I have realized, oh God, I do crave that. But, instead of battling against it, it is something I think I have to do for myself. It's one thing I'm very passionate about. And I always speak to women about, don't put yourself at the bottom of the pile. I have to do that for myself. So, or having it, I'll talk to one of my friends while I'm out, or I've tried yoga. I really, when they say lie down and quieten your mind, I'm going, okay, so will I have prawns for dinner? But I do work out, which I have been doing Joe Wick's 20-minute hits, and I find they're really, really good. Well, just again, I can't be doing complicated. I don't have 15 minutes to set everything up. I literally have my workout mat under my bed. I'll roll it out, and I have my tripod at home because I have to shoot myself, which was a whole challenge when I was trying to shoot with just a tripod and me. But you figure it out, and I pop the phone on there and I do little workouts and breathing. And I've been trying to read. I'm flying through books, so I'm reading at nighttime instead of being on my phone. That is a massive challenge because my online goes through the phone. Everything is on my phone. So what I'm actually trying to do is when I'm out with the kids now, if we go for a long walk, I don't take the phone. I find being separated from it or having an unplugged day, like people might think I'm on social all the time. I'm actually not. One of our girls, Neve, is amazing and she does Friday and Saturday. So if I find something interesting, I'll post about it. But I do find unplugging is absolutely crucial.
Yeah, definitely. I go for walks in the park and I'll leave my phone on the kitchen counter. I'm like, nope, can't do this.
Isn't it funny? Because I just find one text, one thing, and boom, you're pulled right back in.
Yeah. And I see other people in the park and they remind me of the way I used to be. And they're like walking 10 yards. They stop. They're looking at their phone. They have to answer the phone. They're sending a text. It's crazy. So yeah, definitely leave the phone down at least for 1 hour a day if you can.
For sure.
And do you feel has social media been very important to your business?
Oh, it's crucial.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I enjoy it because, and weirdly, I was a bit nervous because I suppose there's more of myself on there than has ever been before. But our team are all working remotely. So, and I'm all about empowering. I don't want people to be like, oh my God, here's her face again. But I don't
Yeah.
have anyone else's face to shoot. So, that has been a challenge. But I actually enjoy it. I love the interaction. And again, like what we went back to with retail, customers come in, and I have known people for like 13 years. Is it 13? Yeah. I have known people since then. I've known their kids. I know their mom. So we would have chats, people just come in for coffee. So I kind of have that online now with people where they, we
Great.
did a skincare IGTV, which I never would have normally done. But you know what? It was a little bit of fun for me because I got to do something creative. It is a passion of mine, skincare, and yeah, I definitely find there's always going to be negatives. And of course, everyone gets those little comments or whatever, the little niggles. But I follow really interesting people. I only follow
Mhm.
people that I really admire. I make sure that what I'm consuming myself is positive. And if it's not, then I don't look at it anymore.
That's such good advice. I love that. I try and only follow inspiring people like that myself, or people that add
Real
something.
and
Like,
real as well,
yeah,
so like of course we people are my followers, they do like, the brand, they do like the fashion shots, so they would like, so I thought, well, how can I do this in a real way? So Costume is one of my favorite boutiques. They're an Irish business. They're in the same position as me. Everyone's facing struggles. Love Tracy and Anne. They posted me out a whole pack of clothing. I have pieces of theirs for years since I moved home, and I shot them with jewellery because there's, I have to shoot clothing, and it was a fun kind of dress up day for me. And then I also showed that I'm wearing the Calvin Klein pants that I wore 3 days in a row, and I haven't washed my hair. So there's those sides, because I'm not trying to provide a space that people are going to feel bad. When you said about the banana bread, because I actually said to Chris, do you think I should be making banana bread? He was like, no, you're grand.
but it's so true. Like, we
Yeah.
can't be expected to bake like
No,
10,000 different recipes for banana
no,
bread in 3 languages and whatever,
no,
whatever, whatever.
no.
Just try and figure it out, and
Yeah, and again, it's the messages you're feeding yourself. Like I saw Lizzie Gore Grimes posted something about image and what they're doing, and she was talking about how if your kids are safe and happy and loved, you're doing great. And I just got a bit of a relief, because
yeah.
I was trying to teach my son ordinal numbers today, and I'm not going to lie, it wasn't my finest moment. I lost it. I was like, third, it's just third, it's the same as three. But I'm not a natural teacher, and I was like, you know what? When he's 20, he's not going to have a problem with ordinal numbers. So why don't I stop stressing? And we actually went and did an art project about how to draw a landscape. And I actually really enjoyed it. So I'm trying not to sweat the small stuff.
Yeah. How cute is that? And what are your kids like? Which one of your two do you think is most like you?
Oh God, that's hard, because so Ellie is 10, so she looks very like me. Just
Okay.
in terms of, she has a similar build, and then she has, I posted this, she has the most amazing natural blonde hair, and I'm just looking at it now as I have roots growing down to my knees. Ellie is extremely creative, so she has talked about already wanting to set up Loulerie, and it's already gone. I looked up the website for
That
her.
is adorable.
Yeah, I have always tried to, I suppose I've been so closed off, not having them in any way involved in my business, because I want them to find their own passion. And I don't want, when you have a brand, I'm sure you find this as well, it's so all consuming. I don't, everyone in my family, my friends say they live, like my friends Brian and Laura call themselves the non-executive board, because you don't realize it, but you are talking about it a lot. So I've tried to not remove, that's not the right word, but I've tried to not impose it in any way. But
Mm.
Ellie adores coming to work. She loves coming into the shop. She loves, of course, loves when she, in the Wesbury give her a special little chocolate, or she goes around to Paddy and he gives her a hug in the tailors. So I can't help but think that that's going to be the world she's going to go into. She's very, very creative. Her art is amazing. So she's a very happy kid. Sebastian is oh wow, where do I even start? He's got eyes that I don't know who would say no to, because they're these big chocolate brown saucers, but my God, can he be naughty? Like, he is a free spirit. Sebastian is our free spirit. So he's great though, and he's extremely affectionate. But to be real, they're killing each other, because there's 3 years between them, and they
Mm.
are a boy and a girl, and they don't like the same things. And they're both very social, so they're missing their friends. But Yes, but then I suppose physically Ellie looks like me, but there's a lot of temperament that she would be more like my husband. She's, quite chilled, and they have a really lovely little bond.
That's so cute. And would
Yeah,
you
it's
have
really cute.
entertained a lot? I mean, before all of this, would you like to
No.
entertain, or would you consider yourself to be a good host?
No, I'm definitely not an entertainer in terms of with my work. I would love to, but I just don't have the time. So anything that we do, it's super casual. My group of friends, as I've had, so the two friends, Marie and Sinead, since I was 6, and my best friend Laura, since I was in like 16. We have a group, a few guys and girls that we've all been friends. So we now do a brunch once a month. We haven't done it in a while, obviously, and we all have kids, so there's no stress, and that's the nicest thing we've been doing. um, but no, I when I do have people over, I just keep it really simple. But I'm probably not the world's biggest entertainer, just in terms of time.
Yeah, and you're tired, probably in the evenings, you just want to
Yeah,
switch
I'm
off
not
and
great. I kind of switch off, but I
Mhm.
love going to my friends. And when I do have friends over, I do love it. I suppose we've altered it a little bit now because we have kids. Like my friend Aurora just moved home from London, and we went to their house for a roast. So we're due to have them back. And I kind of love that more chilled, relaxed, where
Yeah,
it's not all like perfect. I do love the
totally.
setting of the table, though. I love all that kind of part.
Yeah, the preparing and the
Yeah.
decorating and the whole,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
But
fun.
but my
Lighting.
parents are amazing, so I suppose that's why I could never even compare to that. And they like love doing it. Like they cook for like a week. Like they go to Caveston's and they shop and they make
Oh,
sauces, and yeah. So
wow. And what is your one luxury piece in your home?
oh, we have this amazing painting. It was a gift, and it's from a gallery in New York, and it's my favorite thing. It's in some of my shots. I don't exactly remember. She's a female artist, and it's kind of painted in glass. So I think that's my favorite thing. I adore it because it was in New York in our apartment, and it looked amazing in those big loft walls. But I don't know. It makes me happy.
Makes you happy? Is it really colorful, or what are the colors
Yeah,
like?
it's huge, and it's white, and it has glass. It's very unusual. It's like there's paint on the glass, and then there's a screen in front of it, and it's quite bold and colorful, which is very funny, I suppose, because I'm so minimalist in my dress. But like I love splashes of color. Like I love like a Missoni or something like that
Mm.
amongst something muted.
Yeah, I love that too. I get that. That would be myself. I agree with you.
So I think because I'm creative, I change my mind too much. So if I painted a room one color, I'd be like, okay, I'm done on that.
Exactly. And so you would describe yourself as sort of like comfortable. Your style would be very comfortable,
Yeah,
relaxed, minimalist, but cozy with
yeah.
pop color, and whatever those are, they're like important collected pieces that you've kind of collected on your travels.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't buy a lot. I think again, going back to my 20s was when I saw fast fashion. Forever 21 was right by my office. You walk in, you try it on, it feels like tin foil, it shrinks. I just kind of got that out of my system very early. And also working in retail, I picked up some amazing pieces in the sale. I would have seen Chloe and Gucci and like some of those kind of brands at like 1920, and we would have still had them. And then I suppose I also realized then for work, investing in pieces that are going to last. And I like how things feel. So I like silks, I like cashmere. I'm big in trainers now. So I buy my Golden Goose in Havana because I'm running, like you, I'm running between meetings and I still want to feel a little bit dressed up. So,
Mhm.
and obviously my business, I change everything with my jewelry. So I have an amazing lace dress from, I think she's a Russian designer. I bought it like 6 years ago. And if I'm going to anything like super fancy, which is rare, but say a black tie wedding or something,
Yeah,
that's my dress. I'm not like, oh, I need a new dress. That's not me. I wear that dress and new earrings.
perfect. Gosh, you're in the right business.
Yeah.
You have beautiful stock, and is that kind of a big draw for you? Like when you're traveling, I
Oh,
know you travel
yeah.
a lot to Paris, and
Yeah. I mean, you mean the stock for the shop?
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
I love immersing myself in that. I love, when I go to Paris and I meet Lisa Salzer from Lulu Frost, I love hearing about her. She's very influenced by travel. I love hearing the story, and I think that's the big thing with Loulerie. And Tanya came with me when we actually just before this all kicked off with COVID, and we met. We had dinner with Jackie from Mignon Gavagan. She's their salesperson. We know Maggie, the designer, well. Hearing the design inspiration, the craft, what went through it. Sandrine, she's a French designer behind Pearl de Lune, and she showed us the agate stone and how that inspired her design. That is absolute heaven to me.
Yeah. Yes, you can get lost in that.
Yeah, and it gives meaning to what we do, I suppose. I think about every single piece that goes into the store. Will I buy the blue one or the green one? Okay, will I buy this size or that size? So it's a very, very coveted edit, I suppose.
And would you get a lot of customers that would come into you and say, okay, I'm going to the special event at the weekend.
Yeah.
This is what I'm wearing. Just tell me what jewelry to wear.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. Yeah, and my team adore that because it's creative. I suppose people say, sales assistants. It's definitely not that. My team, I always say that even when we're having our weekly Zoom meetings, you're not a sales assistant, it's not a sales advisor. You're a brand representative. You're part of the brand. How you answer the door to them is the same as how you reply to an Insta message. Having that styling and having that trust that somebody will place in you, that you won't steer them wrong. I remember a few people have said to me, wow, Louise, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not selling to me. But that's not what we built our business on. I'm not like, oh, buy this. We really think about it and think about what would be best for the customer.
And is your main clientele, are they from Ireland, or do you find that they're from all countries? Do you get a lot of Americans in?
Yeah, we get a lot. I love talking to Americans. I think it's the whole missing New York thing, but I love Americans. Americans are so positive and so interested. And I mean, I got a lot of my jobs in New York from just talking to strangers, and that's what I think is amazing.
Yeah, they really trust you over there. It's kind of it's very different in Ireland. It's all about who you know, this sort of network. I think that sort of works very strongly in Ireland. But in America, really, it's not like that. Everyone's given a chance.
And that's pretty much what drew me to New York. I thought that's amazing, So we have lengthy chats. So I had this lovely little older couple. I don't know, they were like maybe in their 80s, and they were on a cruise ship, and they bought one of my fine jewelry pieces. And because it was my own design, I was there and we were chatting. And then they didn't know where to go for lunch, so I walked them around to Balf's and the Westbury. Like, it was just, I'll remember that forever.
That's so nice. And tell me, Louise, what's next for you?
Well, that's very different from our planning meeting in February. But yeah, weirdly, our big plan for this year was online. So we want to, now that I'm actually shipping, we've shipped to Dubai, we've shipped to Switzerland, Luxembourg. Where else have I shipped to? We're shipping a lot. We've done some fantastic pop-ups in Cork, and wow, have we an amazing clientele down there. I'm so lucky for that. So expanding
in Cork.
Yeah, we've had, and they're so lovely. I was a little bit emotional when we did our first pop-up because I was like, oh, you're really here for the brand. Wow. But it was really, really nice. But the big plan, I suppose, would be online and for my own fine jewelry range. That has been really year on year growing. And again, I think it's always something organic. I didn't set out to do that. That's just drawing on because I was involved in a design house for so many years. I picked up things, and it's all about timeless things. So we have the 14 karat gold wave hoops. That was because I was on holidays in Spain and I had these plated ones, and I was like, oh, I can't be bothered taking them on and off, getting in and out of the pool. And I have terrible holiday hair, like really bad. You see those people and they're like, oh, look at me in my beachy waves. That's not me. I'm the one hiding under a hat. So I was like, oh, I really wanted like a gold, because I always feel, you're similar coloring to me, I just want a little bit of warmth. Anyway, I designed those, and I thought our look is very much classic pieces, but making them Loulerie. So I put the soft wave curve and a hidden hinge. You don't need 50 other pairs of those over your lifetime. That's it. I wear those pretty much every day since I designed them. So it's drawing on those things and adding pieces that really have meaning into our collection, like the perfect gold bangle, the perfect everyday necklace. I suppose it's interesting, the whole thing about sustainability. I mean, we've done a huge project on that, on our packaging and making that all sustainable. And it's the same way I approach design. And I think there's some interesting conversations going on, like amongst the world's leading designers, about this pause in just churning out stuff. I think that's very healthy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. And it's all, I think we're going to see a big kind of focus now on quality.
Yeah.
And definitely, craftsmanship, quality, where it's made, all those things, all those questions are going to become at the forefront of business, I think, especially in specialized areas like your own.
Yeah, and I think, I used to feel pressure, gosh, should I be designing two collections? But it takes me so long. The whole point of my design is it would take me a month to decide on the catch, or can we make it a bit smaller? For me, the devil is in the detail. It's all in the things that you don't see. So they're the things that ruin a piece for me, like a big chunky clasp or whatever. So the longer I can spend on that and the happier I am. They're pieces that I would like to have in the collection for years and years. So that's really a big focus for us, is to continue doing that.
Oh my God. Well, once the lock is lifted, Louise, I'll be the
Yeah.
person at your door. Believe me.
Oh, well, we can go for, oh yeah, and I saw your post about Butler's coffee like that. I've been counting down to go to that. It's funny. I miss having chats. Well, we'll have to meet up and have proper coffee and chats. And I do think what you
Oh,
do is
totally.
incredible. I love, it makes me calm looking at the projects that you do, because,
Oh, God.
they're really beautiful and they're spaces that you want to be in. And I think around times like this, just looking at your stories or having a look at some of the projects, I think I'm very careful. I'm very aware that financially people are very stressed.
Hmm.
There's a lot going on with health wise. I mean, it is a global pandemic. So I suppose what we're trying to offer is a little bit of escape, just a little bit of beauty or creativity for people to escape. And I suppose that's the same for you.
Yeah, look, we'll all get through this. There's no question about that. And I think in our particular world, I think a lot of people are at home, and there's loads of to-do lists getting done.
Yeah.
DIY is at the forefront of a lot of people's minds at the moment. They're like, oh my God, look, the walls need to be painted. I'm going to try and do this myself. And just crazy stuff people have been contacting us about.
Wow.
So we've kind of had a little bit of a surge in one sense, because people are looking for help and advice on their homes.
Right.
But, look, we'll see. We'll just see how we all, fare at the end of it all. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting time, but I don't think we'll come out the same as we went into it.
No,
But I don't think that's a bad
that's
thing
not a
either.
bad thing. I so
No.
agree with you. And can I ask you a few questions? If
Yeah.
your home is on fire and you had three things to save, what would they be?
Like apart from my family.
Obviously, yep,
Yeah.
they're all outside. Goldfish, dogs, your two little kitties, your hubby, all outside.
God, what would I say? Well, my best friend Laura just made me this book for my 40th. Oh God, I got so emotional and she dropped. So I'd save that because it's all the photos. Um, I would save this tiny little. It's a little dancing. I suppose they're Swiss man and woman. They dance on this little mirrored music box. That was my grandfather's. We had a minder or babysitter once who it broke. So, but I still keep it.
Mhm.
I would save that. I'd save the photo, and I don't know. It's funny. My closet got stolen once when I was in New York, so I'm actually trained
Wow.
myself to not be like. I might save that black lace dress from costume. Actually, yeah, I think I would.
There are
Yeah.
three good picks. And what advice, Louise, would you give to your younger self?
Oh gosh. Um, I would say don't close yourself off. Stop being so rigid in what you think you want, and maybe open your mind up, and also to give yourself some credit. God, I don't think I knew who I was. I don't think I had a very good sense of self. I think I looked outside for external confirmation and happiness a lot. I think most of my 20s and into my early 30s. So I would say that the happiness is actually down for you. That's your job to do for yourself.
Yeah, that's so true. And who are your style icons, Louise?
Oh gosh, there's so many.
Give me three.
Manual alt. Let me think. Because I'm watching so many movies. Oh, I watched old movies. Was it the weekend before last? Like, I'm sorry, but Audrey Hepburn is
Yeah.
still like, unbelievable. And actually, okay, I'm sorry, another three. But Ingrid Bergman was another one. I mean, those
Yeah.
outfits were from the 50s, but I would wear those today. And I
Yeah.
suppose, okay, they're two of the same era, and then maybe one other one would be. I always loved Sienna Miller. I always thought she had a very
Oh,
fresh boho
beautiful.
take, and I
Yeah.
love her red carpet style because it's never done. It's never.
Yeah.
It's always a little bit different,
Bit edgy.
a little bit edgy, and not too try hard. She never has like her updo, and she's it's. I love the boho. She always looks like her.
Yeah, that's so true. She doesn't look too done or too
Yeah,
hairsprayed. She looks
yeah,
very kind of, yeah, European.
yeah.
And I just want to ask you a few quick round fire questions. If you know. Okay,
Sure.
you ready?
Okay, go.
Tea or coffee?
Oh, coffee. That's not even, no, coffee.
Bath or shower?
Shower.
Bra or underwear?
Underwear.
Text or talk?
Oh God, everyone would say text.
Red or white wine?
Actually, neither.
Oh, okay. Bedside, left or right?
Oh, left.
Taxi or walk?
Now walk.
Home or abroad?
I've got to say abroad considering the situation.
Eat in or go out?
Again, eat out, please.
High street or couture?
Oh, dream world couture.
Dublin or New York?
Oh God. Oh, that's very hard. I would have to say New York.
I know. I can see you moving back there, actually. Would you ever consider going back there?
Not with my family. I don't think I would at this point. But I'm not. It's not. I haven't closed the chapter.
That's a book. I haven't closed the chapter. I love it. You got to write a book.
Yeah.
Kanye or Trump?
That is not a question. I can't. I mean, what Kanye did to Taylor Swift is just no. And Trump, as a woman who empowers other women, no. So I'll have to pass on that.
Good answer. So, Louise, thank you so much for joining us today. I have really enjoyed our chat.
You're very welcome. Thanks so much for having me.
Stay safe.
Yeah, you too. Absolutely.